One of the contributing factors to my depression and to my downward spiral last year was shame. Shame was what had kept me silent, and shame is what had kept me in my marriage for as long as I was, and shame was also what had kept me from talking about it openly until I was compelled to do so by the media on an international stage. But shame is also what kept me from being able to move forward peacefully and with confidence after that story became public. I was ashamed that people now knew my secret. I was ashamed of my past. I was ashamed of previous relationships that I'd had that had also been abusive and toxic. I was ashamed of the family situation from where I came. I was worried that the media would expose me for being the worthless person that I felt like I was, and that I would be exposed as deserving of being in an abusive relationship. And so I wallowed and festered in shame. In September of last year, I was asked to speak at the conference for the Institute on Violence and Trauma, and there was a co-speaker there. His name was Luis Cardona, and he was telling the story of his involvement with gangs, but also his sexual molestation when he was a child, and how he was unable to talk about it and unable to share it with his gang, but also even with his wife years later because of shame. And the way that he described it was, I was afraid, speaking of his gang members, that they would hurt me, kill me, or even shame me. Struck me like then, and it strikes me now every time I say it, because it's putting the hierarchy of shame at the top. Shame is worse than death, and it keeps you silent, and it keeps you caged, and it keeps you living in fear. And in my case, it also kept me living in depression. Ashamed if people would know how I really felt inside. Ashamed if people would find out more about my history and more about my story. And then, compounding it, ashamed that people would find out that I was ashamed and that I was depressed. It's a really tricky and toxic emotion, shame, and it's designed to control you, and it's designed to keep you in a negative pattern. I think the antidote to shame is speaking, and that's why I'm here today.